The 12 Doors of Rejection. In the cold, neon-lit city of Arcanes, a young woman named Leora ran through the crowded streets, her heart pounding like a drum. She clutched a small glowing cube tightly in her hands, the last hope of her dying home world. Every step echoed on the wet pavement, and every shadow seemed to whisper danger. The first door loomed ahead, tall and silver, its frame pulsing with a cold blue light. Leora raised her trembling hand and whispered, "Please, show mercy," but the door stayed shut, rejecting her again. She tried to push, to knock harder, to plead louder, but it remained silent, cold, and unmoving. Without a moment to waste, she moved to the second door, then the third, each one giving her the same answer, nothing, rejection. 12 doors she had approached in total, 12 times her hope had been crushed. With each failure, the cube in her hand seemed heavier, as if it absorbed her fear and despair. She paused for a moment in a narrow alley, her chest heaving, eyes scanning the flickering lights above. Leora wondered if she had traveled across the stars for nothing, if all her courage had been wasted. Every door she had faced seemed to judge her silently, not for her actions, but for the secret she carried, something powerful, dangerous, and unknown. The fourth door refused her because she had no wealth to offer, the fifth because she had no connections, the sixth whispered that her presence was unwanted, the seventh slammed shut without a word, the eighth hummed a warning she could not understand, the ninth and 10th treated her like she was invisible, the 11th watched her carefully but finally rejected her with a cold mechanical click. When she reached the 12th door, Leora's legs felt like stone, her fingers numb from the cold, her eyes burned with tears, but she forced herself to stand tall. She knocked 3 times, louder than before, hoping someone, anyone, would hear her plea. There was a moment of silence, then a faint click, a shadow moving behind the frosted glass. Her heart leapt, but the door slid closed before she could speak. Leora sank to her knees, tears running down her cheeks. Why does no one care?" she whispered. The city around her was alive with neon lights, with crowds that ignored her, with machines that watched without emotion. She felt smaller than ever, a single human against a universe that refused to understand her. But then, through the mist of rain and light, she saw it, the 13th door, hidden in a narrow lane she had not noticed before. Unlike the others, it had no flashing lights, no warning hum, no intimidating frame. It was simple, plain, almost fragile, but something about it felt different, something warm, something welcoming. Leora rose slowly, her knees weak, her hands still gripping the cube. Every rejection had broken her, yet she still had hope. She took a careful step forward, then another, each one filled with fear and anticipation. 12 doors had turned her away, but perhaps the 13th door held the answer she had been searching for. Perhaps behind it was a human with a heart, ready to listen, ready to help, ready to see her not as a threat, but as a person. She reached the door and paused, her hand hovering above the handle. The city seemed to hold its breath with her, every neon light dimming in suspense. Leora whispered again, "Please, show mercy," and then, with a deep breath, she pushed the door open. The door that waited. The 13th door opened slowly, its hinges creaking in the quiet alley. Leora stepped inside cautiously, her heart hammering in her chest. The room beyond was small, dimly lit by a single lantern that cast warm, golden light on the walls. The glow from her cube flickered, but the light here did not feel threatening, it felt welcoming. She looked around, seeing a simple room filled with books, jars of strange powders, and tools she did not recognize. At the far end, a man sat on a wooden chair, his face hidden in shadow, but his posture calm, steady, patient. Leora swallowed her fear and raised the cube. "Please. I need your help," she said, her voice trembling. The man did not answer at first, he just watched, as if he was listening not only to her words but to the rhythm of her heart. Seconds stretched into what felt like minutes, but the warmth of the room made her chest feel lighter. She had faced 12 doors that judged her, rejected her, and ignored her, but here, someone simply waited. Finally, the man spoke, his voice low, gentle, yet strong. "Why have you come so far, child?" he asked, and Leora felt no anger, no fear in his tone, only curiosity, maybe even understanding. She hesitated, then poured out her story, telling him about her dying planet, the war, the cube, and the 12 doors that had turned her away. As she spoke, he nodded occasionally, never interrupting, never judging. When she finished, he leaned back in his chair and studied her carefully. 12 doors rejected you because they looked only for what you could give, not what you needed, he said. Most humans have lost their hearts to fear or greed, but you did not give up. You came here anyway. Leora felt a small flicker of hope, something she had not felt in weeks. The man stood slowly, walking to a small table where a strange, glowing device rested. He gestured for her to place the cube on it, and as she did, the device hummed softly, connecting to the cube. The lights danced across the room, reflecting in her wide eyes. Her journey, her desperation, all seemed to pulse into the machine, and yet, instead of danger, she felt safety. "This will help," the man said, "but only if you trust me completely." Leora nodded, fear and hope tangled together. She realized that the man was not just human, he was someone who had chosen to keep his heart, someone who could see the value in her struggle. She wondered how rare it was, in a city of cold lights and cold hearts, to find someone like him. Suddenly, the cube began to shine brighter, filling the room with a soft, golden light. Leora felt warmth spread through her chest, the weight of rejection lifting. But even as hope grew, the man's face became serious. "There are those who will come for the cube," he warned. "Not all humans will have a heart like mine. Some will take it, and destroy you along with it." Her pulse quickened, realizing that danger had not ended at the 13th door, it had only just begun. Leora stood taller, gripping the cube tightly. The man stepped closer, placing a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "You have been brave," he said, "and bravery will carry you further than fear ever could." She nodded, feeling the weight of his words, knowing she had found an ally, but also knowing that the path ahead would demand more than courage. It would demand trust, hope, and perhaps, the heart of a human. The shadow approaches. Leora held the cube tightly as the man, whom she now knew as Kale, guided her to a small window overlooking the neon city below. "You must understand," Kale said, "not everyone will welcome what you carry." Leora shivered, the warmth of the room fading slightly as fear returned. Suddenly, the shadows outside shifted strangely, darker than the usual night. Kale's eyes narrowed, and he whispered, "They are here." Leora's heart skipped a beat, her hands shook, but she could not let go of the cube. It was everything, the only hope for her planet, and now danger had found her. A figure appeared at the entrance of the alley below, tall, moving with a strange grace, metallic armor glinting in the neon lights. Leora realized it was not human, at least not fully. It was a hunter, one of the merciless seekers who collected rare artifacts. Kale stepped in front of her, shielding her with his body. "You must stay inside," he said firmly, "I will deal with them." Leora watched in awe and fear as Kale prepared strange devices, glowing rods and mechanical tools she did not recognize. He moved quickly, silently, setting traps and alarms around the room. Every second stretched painfully, and the hunter below circled the building, scanning with sharp, glowing eyes. Every movement made Leora's chest tighten. She felt the first real taste of the danger her journey had promised. The hunter struck suddenly, breaking through a side door with a loud crash, sending shards of metal and wood flying across the floor. Leora screamed, ducking behind a table as Kale activated a protective field, shimmering light forming a barrier between them and the intruder. The hunter growled, a sound that sent shivers down her spine, trying to find a way to bypass the shield. Kale turned to her quickly. "Stay calm, do not let fear control you," he instructed. "The cube reacts to your heart as well as mine, it senses your courage." Leora nodded, swallowing her fear, and took a deep breath. Her hands rested on the cube, and she focused on hope, on the survival of her planet. She could feel a soft pulse from the cube, matching the rhythm of her heart. The hunter lunged again, and this time the cube responded, sending a beam of golden light that pushed the intruder back. Leora's eyes widened as she realized the cube was not just a tool, it was alive in some way, responding to her emotions. Kale smiled briefly. "See? You are stronger than you think." But the hunter recovered quickly, smarter, faster, attacking with a new strategy. Leora's pulse raced. She wanted to run, to hide, but Kale's calm presence reminded her of her courage. Together, they worked in silent coordination, the hunter striking, the cube defending, Kale directing, Leora reacting. Every strike, every move, brought them closer to understanding each other, closer to survival. Finally, with one swift move, Kale activated the final device, a net of shimmering energy that caught the hunter, holding it suspended in midair. The intruder hissed, its glowing eyes burning with anger and frustration. but it could not break free. Leora exhaled slowly, the tension leaving her body in a flood. She realized that danger was real, and it was coming faster than she had imagined. Kale turned to her, eyes serious again. "This is only the beginning," he warned. "There are more hunters out there, and some will be harder to stop." Leora nodded, gripping the cube tightly, understanding that bravery would no longer be enough. She would need cunning, trust, and the courage to face what she had only dreamed of until now. The choice of trust. The hunter struggled in the shimmering net, its glowing eyes burning with rage. Leora stood behind Kale, still gripping the cube. Her chest ached with fear and excitement. She had faced danger before, but never like this. The city outside hummed quietly, unaware of the battle unfolding in the small room. Kale studied the hunter carefully, then turned to Leora. "We cannot hold it here forever," he said. "We must move quickly, and you must decide who to trust." Leora's eyes widened. "Trust? But who? All the doors, they rejected me, and some people only want to take the cube," she whispered. Her hands shook, but she felt Kale's calm presence guiding her. He gestured toward a hidden panel on the floor, revealing a narrow tunnel leading beneath the city. "This will take us to safety," he explained, "but the path is long and dangerous, and I will need you to follow my lead completely." Leora nodded, swallowing her fear. She had no choice, no other doors, no other humans who would help her. As they moved through the tunnel, the cube pulsed softly in her hands, its golden glow lighting the dark walls. Leora felt a strange connection to it, like it could sense her determination and hope. She realized that her courage was not just for survival, but for something greater, something her planet needed. Suddenly, the tunnel shook violently, dust and small rocks falling around them. Leora stumbled, but Kale caught her. "They are coming," he said. "Other hunters have found us, and some may follow us underground." The words made her heart race, but she forced herself to stay calm, trusting Kale and the cube. The sound of metal footsteps echoed behind them, growing louder, closer. They reached a fork in the tunnel, two paths stretching ahead. One was narrow and unstable, the other longer but brighter. Leora hesitated, unsure which way to go. Kale looked at her, eyes steady. "You must choose," he said. "I can only guide, you must decide." Leora's mind raced. She thought of her planet, of the 12 doors that had rejected her, of the 13th door that had finally shown her kindness. With a deep breath, she chose the narrow, unstable path. "This way," she said firmly. Kale nodded, following her lead. The tunnel shook again as hunters approached, but Leora focused, her heartbeat sinking with the cube, pushing forward despite fear. Each step was a test of courage, trust, and determination. The path led them to a hidden chamber filled with glowing crystals, strange energy filling the air. Leora felt the cube resonate with the crystals, amplifying its light. She realized the cube was not just a key, it was alive, and it trusted her as much as she trusted it. Kale smiled slightly. "You have done well," he said. "Not everyone could have made this choice." But even in that moment of relief, Leora knew danger was not over. The hunters would follow, and the city above was not safe. Yet for the first time, she felt hope, a spark that grew stronger with each step she took. She had trusted Kale, trusted the cube, and trusted herself, and that trust had opened a new path, a path that could lead to salvation, or to even greater danger. The heart of humanity. The chamber glowed with the light of crystals and the cube, casting long shadows across the walls. Leora stood at the center, her hands gripping the cube tightly, Kale beside her, eyes scanning the tunnel entrances. "This is it," he said quietly. "You must complete what you came for." Leora nodded, feeling a mixture of fear, hope, and determination. The sound of footsteps echoed again, faster this time. The hunters had found them, dozens of them, their glowing eyes cutting through the dark tunnels. Leora's pulse raced, but she remembered Kale's words, the cube's gentle pulse, the spark of hope that had carried her this far. She took a deep breath and focused on her goal, not the fear, not the danger. She placed the cube on the largest crystal in the chamber, and a bright golden light erupted, filling the room. The hunters screamed, shielding their eyes from the glow, but Leora felt no fear, only power, only the energy of hope, courage, and trust flowing through her. She realized that the cube did not just protect her, it amplified the heart of humanity itself, a light against darkness. Kale joined her, placing his hands over hers on the cube, guiding her, but he let her lead, letting her own courage shape the outcome. The hunters tried to break through the light, their shadows flickering like dying stars, but they could not reach her. They were blocked, defeated not by violence, but by something stronger, a force born of bravery, trust, and compassion. The golden light shot upward, connecting with the sky above Arcanes, and far beyond. Leora could feel her home planet, the lives she had come to save, resonating with the cube's power. The glow spread, reaching every corner of the city, warming the cold hearts of those who had rejected her. Some humans looked on with surprise, some with fear, but a few smiled, their hearts remembering what kindness felt like. When the light faded, the hunters were gone, leaving silence in the tunnels. Leora and Kale stood together, exhausted but triumphant. "You did it," Kale said softly. "You showed them that courage, hope, and a human heart can overcome anything." Leora smiled, tears in her eyes, realizing that the journey was more than saving her planet. It was about showing the true power of humanity, the heart that could open doors even after 12 rejections. She looked at the 13th door in her mind, the one that had led her here, and whispered, "Thank you," for it was not just a door, but a choice, a chance, a heart that had seen her worth. And now, Leora understood that even in a galaxy full of cold machines and selfish humans, one person with a heart could change everything. Kale nodded, sensing her understanding. "The cube will guide you home now," he said. "But remember, the real power is not the cube, it is the courage and trust you carry within yourself." Leora gripped the cube one last time, and a wave of golden energy lifted her, transporting her across the stars, back to the place she loved, stronger, wiser, and full of hope. And somewhere, far in the city of Arcanes, the 13th door waited quietly, knowing that another soul, brave enough to trust, might one day find it again. The unknown beyond. Leora had returned to her home planet, the cube glowing softly in her hands, her people cheering, grateful for her courage. Yet even as celebrations filled the streets, she could not shake the feeling that her journey was far from over. Something stirred beyond the stars, a presence she could sense but not see. Kale appeared suddenly, stepping out from the shadows, his face calm but serious. "The hunters were only the beginning," he said. "There are others who will come, not for the cube, but for what it represents." Leora's hands tightened around the cube, the golden glow pulsing faster. She felt fear, but also determination. The city's neon lights reflected in the cube, and for a moment, she saw visions of distant worlds, strange ships moving through the void, eyes watching, calculating, waiting. Leora realized that the heart she had fought to protect was now a beacon, attracting attention she could not yet understand. Kale placed a hand on her shoulder. "You have the power to inspire, to lead, to change the course of humanity," he said, "but you will not do it alone, and not all hearts are kind." Leora nodded, her mind racing with possibilities. She knew that the cube was more than a tool, it was a key to the future, and the future was uncertain. A faint alarm sounded from the cube, a warning of approaching ships, far beyond the planet's atmosphere. Leora's pulse quickened, she glanced at Kale, who nodded silently. "The next challenge is coming," he said. "Are you ready?" Leora took a deep breath, feeling the weight of responsibility, the power of courage, and the strength of hope. As the sky above her planet began to glow with the approaching fleet, Leora raised the cube, its light blazing like a star. She whispered to herself, "No matter what comes, I will protect it. I will protect hope." The wind carried her words into the city, into the universe, a promise and a warning at once. Somewhere, beyond the stars, unseen eyes watched, curious and calculating, and Leora, the girl who had been rejected 12 times, now stood as a beacon of humanity, ready to face whatever the galaxy would throw at her next.